Okay, do stay with me, guys, for our viewers around the world, but I have to say goodbye now to people watching in the UK. So thanks very much for your company. Bye for now. But now, for those of you staying with me, thank you very much. It is time for the panel. We've got to leave it there, but thank you so much to my guests for joining me, Ayesha Hazarika and Joe Moreno. Thank you very much. And you've been watching me, Lucy Gray, on The Context. Thanks very much for your company. Hello, live from London, this is BBC News. Israel confirms it hit an ambulance, saying it was being used by Hamas operatives. Hamas says a convoy was struck twice, killing dozens of people. The US Secretary of State urges a humanitarian pause in the war, but Israel's Prime Minister says there'll be no temporary truce until all hostages are released. The leader of the proscribed terror group Hezbollah says that there's a realistic possibility of total war. And the so-called crypto king, Sam Bankman-Fried, is facing decades in prison after being found guilty of fraud and money laundering. Hello, I'm Lucy Gray. Israel says its troops in Gaza are engaged in face-to-face combat with fighters from Hamas. The Israeli military says its troops have now completely encircled Gaza City in the north of the territory, almost 4 weeks since the start of this war. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been back in Tel Aviv as Washington increases the pressure for a humanitarian pause. Meanwhile, the leader of Hezbollah, like Hamas, proscribed as a terrorist organisation by many Western governments, has spoken from a secret location. Hassan Nasrallah praised the Hamas attacks and said the possibility of total war is realistic. More foreign nationals have been getting out of Gaza at the Rafah crossing point into Egypt. 124 British nationals were on the list of people allowed to leave today. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 9,000 people have been killed in the Strip since October the 7th, after Hamas killed 1,400 people in the attacks in southern Israel. Our correspondent Paul Adams is in Jerusalem for us and gave us a breakdown of what's been happening today, from the ground operation to the strike on the ambulance in Gaza. At least 22 people are reported to have been killed in an earthquake in western Nepal. The US Geological Survey recorded the quake as magnitude 5.6. It hit the remote hill district of Jajakot, 500 kilometers west of Kathmandu. The strong tremors were felt in the capital and in Indian cities, including Delhi. Hospital officials in Jajakot said that they were treating more than 40 injured people rescued from the rubble of their homes. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. You're live with BBC News with me, Lucy Gray. Now, the former cryptocurrency tycoon Sam Bankman-Fried is facing decades in prison after being found guilty of fraud and money laundering. Our New York business correspondent Erin Delmar reports. Neda Tawfik there reporting from New York, and we will of course have plenty of coverage when Donald Trump appears next week. That's Monday, and then Ivanka, his daughter, Ivanka Trump, appearing on Wednesday. Before we go, let's get a reminder of our top story. Israel confirms that it's hit an ambulance, saying that it was being used by Hamas operatives. Hamas says that a convoy was struck twice, killing dozens of people. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 9,000 people have been killed in the Strip since October the 7th, after Hamas killed 1,400 people in the attacks in southern Israel. Israel says that its troops in Gaza are engaged in face-to-face combat with fighters from Hamas. And the Israeli military says that its troops have now completely encircled Gaza City in the north of the territory, almost 4 weeks since the start of this war. Just a reminder that there is plenty more coverage on the BBC website on this, all sorts of analysis and the latest updates. So do check it out on the BBC News website. That's all from me for today. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay with us here on BBC News. Bye-bye.
Hello there. Let's take a look at the weather forecast for Europe as we head through